Yeah, I don't know why my shit was set on what you call that shit, like 360 joint, and that shit messed up like all my audio and everything. I'm over here blaming like YouTube or somebody for that shit, man. I don't know how it got pressed. I'm thinking it was me, but regardless, man. Let me throw up my little ad real quick. All right, I didn't realize I was that close over. So let me move myself. Um, yeah, I can do that mid production. That's the kind of guy I am. All right, hold on. Go to position. Oh, wait, go to layer. Right. Come over here. Go to my camera and simply move me over like that. Alright, let me see. I might want myself over a little bit more. Alright, well, I got my little, oh, wait, hold on. I don't know what's going on here. Alright, close that. See, all of this is all messed up. I ain't realized that. Good thing I looked at it now. Um, if you can just bear with me for a minute here. Alright, as I position this stuff. Alright. And let me go over to my camera real quick. Alright, just my camera. Let me see my camera. Alright. Position my phone. Should have had it in main. Alright. Wait a minute, I'm over here. Yes, I don't know why that's doing that over there. It shouldn't be doing any of that. So, I don't know. Oh well, it's what it is for right now. I think it's the crease in my screen, but it ain't matter. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? I'm not even gonna stress that. I just really wanted y'all to see my basically my showrunner. But this is what we gonna be getting into. We about to get back into the second part, where we gonna take a quick look into Bohemian Grove, right? Because we went into the conversations, right? And we understand that this is basically, Bohemian Grove, So, I'm gonna show you right here. We went into the whole. Hold on a minute. Come over here. All right. Going to this again for you. All right. So as you can see again, right? A conversation is a social gathering predominantly held by learned or art society for conversations and discussions. right? So, people like Jay-Z will be there, especially about the arts, literature, medicine, and science. You know what I'm saying? Arts, literature, medicine, and science, the four devils. You know what I mean? It would not be easy to devise a happier way than the conversation to bringing the novelist. Wait, hold on. Bringing novelists at once under practical criticism of making outliers of science acquaintances with their century. Right, basically, like the people from the outside bringing them to those who call the shots, and of enabling investors to compare operations and discuss facts and speculations, and giving occasion who renewal of intercourse and removal of misunderstanding. The tangible gain to science from the conversation is that investors and experimentalists hear directly what the contemporaries say, right? What the contemporaries say in their schemes and experiments. Right? I want you to understand what's going on with their schemes and their experiments, and much can be said and done with advantage amid the free talk of a general gathering which could not be permitted in the formal meeting of a scientific society. And done in advantage amid the free talk of a general gathering which could not be permitted in the formal meeting of a scientific society. So, like I said, I had to stress that I came in here a little late. I'm going to have to do some editing. You know what I mean? So it says about Bohemian Grove is a restricted 27,000 acre campground at 2061 20601 Bohemian Avenue in Monte Rio, California, United States, belonging to a private San Francisco based gentlemen's club known as the Bohemian Club. Right? So you see, the most secretive club in America, Bohemian Grove, where the rich and powerful go to misbehave. Right? So you see, these are the people in different, walks of life, and they basically know the direction. So when you see runway shows, like I tell people, you have the fashion week, and fashion week is basically to give you the heads up on the colors and the schemes that they dictated already. This is why I tell the people going into the conscious movement and the color schemes and all of that, they don't know that they were actually being programmed, because all of these different things coincide with itself, and if they all coincide with itself to dictate your lifestyle, they are dictating everything about you, while you thinking that it's you just a science experience and shit. You know what I mean? So Now that we got that clear with the Bohemian Groves part in this is they are where the mad scientist and the experimental person, the financier, because there's a scheme. Right? Your man's scheme can be financed by putting out the funding. So whoever's funding is good, their promotion is what's put out on to the masses. It's gonna make sense as we go on. Right? Hypnotism. LaFontaine. Brad attended two more of LaFontaine's demonstrations, and by the third demonstrations on Saturday, 20th November 1841, Brad was convinced of a vicinity of some of LaFontaine's effects and phenomenons. Right? C. Yates. LaFontaine's techniques was a combine of physical contact, mesmeric passes, and eye fixations. To begin with operations and to begin with operator and subject facing each other. The operator held subject's thumb. Fontaine stressed the importance of the initial physical contact and the subsequent operators' implications of mind control. Once rapper report had been established. Although general success with his assistants, he has rarely successful with volunteers, only successful in 1 or 4 or 5 cases, and was very often forced to abandon his attempts after some 30 minutes or so of intense efforts. If you can convince a people of something based on what they see other people doing. You understand what I'm saying? So, like, say I come up with a scheme, and I'm like, okay, in this scheme, 3 card money. But I'm gonna show you why I keep saying 3 card money as this whole thing goes on, right? Um, but in it, right, you see that his success came from his crew. So he's trying to impose that on somebody else. And it was only successful this out of this many times. Seeing the effects of can you convince somebody of something simply based on what they see in somebody else doing, if that makes sense. You know what I mean? So, you make that make sense. I'm gonna just leave that there like that. Right? Okay. So, right? And that's Yates, right? So, in particular, which Braid was entirely convinced that the transformation. Oh, let me express the fact that he's talking, like how, say, in the power of persuasion, they tell you that if somebody, touches you, that's a sign, to trigger them into giving in to your persuasion. And so it can be short, meaning that it can, this is a lesson on how to manipulate people. Like, these are the things that you would need to do to this person. So try this tactic on them. When you want them to do something, do this. You know what I mean? So, and so they showing these experiments, coming forth, right? So, in particular, where we at, transform. That's why I wanted to say that part. In particular, because everything that you reading, you gotta understand it in its physical form. They're talking in a way that you are not supposed to understand what's being said. So you would have to go and do the research on these words that I'm highlighting for you to get it. I'm just doing the breakdown on that. I'm not gonna, like I said, I'll be here all day. I'm giving you the hood version. This is the gritty version. In particular, which was entirely convinced that the transformation from soul to speaker, condition to condition, and back to condition had rarely taken place. He was also entirely convinced that no magnetic agency of any sort in LaFontaine's and physically claimed was responsible for the vertical event he had witnessed at first hand. He also rejected outright the assertion that the transformation in question had proceeded from or been exceeded into action by another person. Meaning that in their study of manipulation, right, the science is of manipulation. Understanding how this works. That's why you've seen the colleges and the colors and telling you if you put the boxes down on this. These were all the sciences of manipulation. While each one of those individuals might be taking it on their own scale, and so with that, they are able to put it out there and see the reaction. It's just a science project on one. Like I said, these are projects being done on the people. Like where experiments, toys, right? So Brad Experimentum Crisius, right? So you see, I don't know if I'm saying these French and other words wrong. Hey, you know what I mean? But now, as you see right here, right? He's implying that what happens is because of the touching of the hand onto the body, he's convincing him of whatever needs to be convinced. So he was saying that it had to do with the touch that caused the fascination, and not the fascination but the convincing through the spectacle, the event of it all. How he was able to get this person to do it. And like they told you up top, it's based on a lot of things of wanting to be accepted, suggestive, and all of these other elements to make a person shift into a direction. So when he's having he's having the conversation of persuading somebody. You understand what I'm saying? So that's why it was necessary, especially with us in the TV time and the touch, because what they're doing is implementing all of these strategies to have the tightest grip on your brain. Remember, they convinced you mental health was a thing to where you know what I'm saying? They convinced you that mental health was a thing that was, reflective of mental illness. Like, there are people who have mental illness where, they could have extreme homicidal, tendencies, or suicidal tendencies, and pedophilia and those type of things. So now you take that. So now you got to keep in mind why I'm saying this. In the United States, you could lose your right to even own a firearm if you are considered mentally ill. You are going to a psychiatrist because these woes that you can't take, these pressures that they telling you that you will go through if you don't get your internet, and these type of things. So then you gotta, it's being installed in you how you are supposed to react. And then you get triggers. And those triggers or to bring about the subway shootings, the mass party shootings, all of those, because it was already implemented in the person through a course of time. That's why they question what is your normal, state. My normal state was resistance to all of that. That's why I was always, in situations in school and stuff like that due to that same resistance. So when people say woke and all of that, I'm one of them people who be like, well, when was I ever asleep? You know what I'm saying? You might have been asleep, but my grades and all of that would tell you I was not focused, to be brainwashed. I was all over. And those are the people that's hard to brainwash. You can't, in those ways, but you can mesmerize them. You won't, it's like the hypnotizer, but you can mesmerize them still with shiny things. And have the world around them still push them in a general direction through the TV, the music. So they'll get it in other ways. You know what I mean? So Brad then performed his experimental crisis operating on the principle of Occam's razor. Right now, they should cover it here. I believe I have a section on that. So, yeah, actually I do. So don't worry about it. Entitles ought not to be manipulated beyond necessity. On my fault. Let's go over here. Right? It says Brad then performed his experiment, right? Crisis, right? Crisis. Operating on the principle of Occam's razor. The entitles ought not be manipulated beyond necessity. And reorganizing that he could diminish rather than manipulate entitled entities, multiply and you see every time I start smoking how I do. I catch myself and that's why I gotta laugh. Shit. Oh, sweat. Recognizing that he could diminish rather than multiply entities, he made an extraordinary decision to perform a role reversal and treat the operator objective interaction as subject internal operating guiding procedures rather than as LaFontaine supposed as operator centered subject internal procedures. Brad proved his point by his self-experimental with his upward and onward squint. Now we get in towards, TV, because remember he's upward, onward squint, getting the eyes at a certain position as he does the manipulation. Right? Okay. The exceptional success of Brad's use of self or auto-hypnotism rather than hetero-hypnotism entirely by himself and within his own home clearly demonstrated that he had nothing whatsoever to do with the gaze, charisma, or magnetism of the operator. All it needed was a subject fixation of vision on the object of concentration at such a height and such a distance from the bridge of their nose that the desired upward and inward squint was achieved. And at the same time, by using himself as a subject, Brad had conclusively proved that none of LaFontaine's phenomena were due to magnetic agencies. Now, like I said, always think about the the TV aspect. Remember, as a kid, the TV right there, you like this. Then think about laying back, TV at a certain height, and as you look at it, as you receiving these messages, right? Pay attention to that, right? So you have the upward and inward squint. Look at this face, right? Think about what position you might be, when you are observing, TV. You know what I mean? So think about that, right? Brad then performed his, where he goes, squint, agency, auto hypnotization, hypnotization, and hetero hypnotization. Brad conducted a number of experiments with hypnotization upon himself, and by now convinced that he had discovered the natural psychological mechanism underlying these quite genuine effects. He performed his first act of hetero hypnotization at his own residence before several witnesses, including Captain Thomas Brown, 1785 to 1862, on Monday, the 22nd November 1841. His first hypnotic subject was Mr. J.A. Walker. And you can actually look this up, right? Absence of physical contact, right? So, the following Saturday, 27th November, Brad delivered his first public lecture at the Manchester Auditorium, in which, among other things, he was able to demonstrate that he could replicate the effects produced by La Fontaine without the need of any sort of physical contact between operator and subject. Right? Right? So just make sure you always see that. Let's go to the next. Right? Attention to suggestion. Well, actually, I think I'm, let me see something here. Oh, here we go. My fault. I was actually, I never pushed it back. So, it goes, Hugh McNeil, Satanic Agencies in Mesmerism Sermon. On the evening of Sunday, 10 April 1842, at St. Jude's Church, Liverpool, the controversial cleric Hugh McNeil preached a sermon against mesmerism for more than 90 minutes to a capacity congregation, and according to most critics, it was poorly argued and unimpressive performance. That's why, now mind you, one, I do not go under the pretenses of religion, but under the pretenses of religion, they do attack that system. So under that system, it's deemed as demonic if you are in the religious field. But when you arguing to people who's coming from, and I don't want to say atheist, but something different. You know what I mean? I can't call it atheist. But from a different approach, which they claim would be scientific, right? But based on morals and principles, it would be, under the doctrine of, people's religion of good and bad, and a positive energy and a negative energy, it would be in the negative. So, he's making an argument to people who's laughing at what he's saying, but know damn well what he's saying. So I'm not approaching it in that way, but he's basically like brought to light this whole system, right? Core argument was that scripture asserted the existence of satanic agency, and in the process of delivering his sermon, he provided examples of various intentations that satanic agencies might manifest, observing time, the divinations, narcomancy, forgive me, and claimed that these were all forms of witchcraft. And further, he asserted that because scripture asserts that as latter times approach, more and more evidence of satanic agencies will appear. It was nearly asserted, right, facto, transparently observes that exhibits exhibits exhibitions, right, of La Fontaine and Braid in Liverpool at that very moment were concrete examples of those particular instantations, right? We're gonna get into, some of this I'm messing up on. And I don't want to stay in there going through it. So I'm gonna keep going. I'll let you see it. You just, you know what I'm saying? Then it goes, okay. So we then moved into a confusing admixture of Philic against Brad and La Fontaine, and Poetic against animal magnetism, wherein he concluded that all mesmeric phenomena were due to satanic agencies. In particular, he attacked Braid as a man, a scientist, and a philosopher, and a medical professional. He claimed that Braid and La Fontaine were one and the same kind. He also threatened Braid's professional and social position by associating him with Satan, and in the most ill-formed way condemned Braid's important therapeutic work as having no clinical efficiency whatsoever. Now let me break down why he was saying these things, right? Now, to understand the structure of building something, meaning, the whole body of America, the body of Congress and this, and it's built around, Rome, the Vatican, Jesus, built around Julius Caesar, and, that type of thing. So, a new system is being built. You've seen the comet come through, and, these observers. So, a new shift has been decided. You're in a new system based on the stars, right? So, in this, pagan system that they telling you that they not in, but yet and still they're in, it's a double-edged sword. You understand what I'm saying? So now, in the moving of the people in a direction, chicanery, right? Spells, which is, chants or cants, CANT. I'll be doing the whole thing on that. And so what this and using religion, if you ever read Masonic books, the reference to the church and Jesus, and attack any of that. He called it. Now mind you, this is back in 1842, right? So he's introducing the satanic approach. You know, like, yo, these dudes, and he's right, they're charlatans. Them two are two working together, remember. They co-signing each other while disagreeing. So one is able to continue on because he's saying, yeah, you know, it works, but it doesn't have nothing to do with. So they're still attached with each other. While in their system, they're attacking the religious system, the woke community. The woke community is ran by the mesmeric community. And they're only used to shift the people. Because through time, like you said, like the word get lost. So you lose the name of Julius Caesar being Jesus Christ. You lose that. So you argue and you look for all of these other things until you take them right to his grave. And then inside there you see Harum, right, which would be Hiram, the name being lost. Right? So then you got Hiram Abiff, which would be now you making the new God. You see the hustle? You see it? You might not be able to see it. Might be a little over your head at that point, right? That's something crazy. Like, what are you talking about? But yeah. So you have a group of people that's shifting the people through chicanery, right? Mesmerizing them with this double talk. Right? So, you know, through this double talk, they are able to shift you. Now, how do you use double talk appropriately? You use double talk appropriately by, let's say, computers, right? We're entering a digital era. We got people talking about being in the Matrix and all of that, right? Even though you can use George Lucas, you know, developing his whole world. But we'll get into George Lucas later. But let's say you are talking about computers, right? And so you want to have a conversation with somebody else about things, but you don't want other people in the room to know. So you develop a thing where y'all can talk. It'd be wrong in a way enough to where they'd be off. Like they wouldn't be able to get in the conversation because they would always be blocked out by your agreement in the wrong thing. Now, in that agreement, you're also shifting the people for a system. So while you doing your hustle, you in a hustle. Because they'll usually give you the manuscript. Yo, here, check this. Yo, you know what I mean? So now you feeling like you win, but it's passed through these different groups in different ways. But it's always still the underlying message. And that underlying message is not what you think. Even while you thinking you in full control of it. Right? So this The sermon was reported at the same length in the Liverpool Standard. My fault. Right? So it says, 2 days later, once Braid became fully aware of the newspaper reports of the congressionments of matters that were reportedly raised in McNeil's sermon of the misrepresentation and outright errors of fact that it allegedly continued, as well as the various natures of the insults and the impact implic and the implicit and explicit threats. Okay, I don't know. I'm seeing something there. Threats which were leveled against Braid's own personal, spiritual, and professional well-being by McNeely. He sent a detailed private letter to McNeil, accompanied by a newspaper account of a lecture which had delivered on the proceedings Wednesday evening, April, 13th, and at McCleskfield, an accorded invitation plus a free admission ticket for McNeil to attend Braid's Liverpool lecture on Tuesday, right? The 21st of April. Yet, despite Braid's courtesy in raising his deeply felt concern directly to McNeil in private correspondence, McNeil did not acknowledge Braid's letter, nor did he attend Braid's lectures. Very wise man. Further, in the face of all the evidence Braid had presented, and seemingly out of slightly correction of its original content, McNeely allowed the entire text in its original sermon, as it had been transcribed by a stenographer, more than 7,500 words, to be published on Wednesday, May 4th, 1842. He was thus most ungentlemanly act of McNeely towards Braid that forced Braid to publish his own response as a pamphlet, which he did on Saturday, the 4th of June, 1842. The pamphlet, which in Crabtree's opinion is a work of greatest significance in the history of hypnotism and of utmost rarity. Now you see where the satanic, because if you read Masonic books, you understand the how the attack on religion and those type of things are, while at the same time offering a new replacement, if that makes sense. So we'll take you from Christianity, send you over to the Gallic, send you over to the to Egypt, and all of these places, the Hebrew Israelites, and all of these groups, all of the new groups, to replace the old groups. What happens is, through time, they all go under a new system. They're proving that they can shift society at their will with the art of Babylon. Babel. mesmerizing you through the word. That's why they say, and it was the word. You know what I'm saying? So, let's see what we got here. British Association for Advancement of Science. Soon after, he also wrote a report entitled Practical Essays on the Curvature Agencies of Neurohypnotism, which he applied to have read before the British Association for the Advancement of Science in June 1842. Despite being initially accepted for presentation, the paper was controversially rejected at the last moment. But Braid arrangement for a series of controversians. Remember what I just told you. Like the Bohemian Groves, in which he presented his content. Braid surmised and contrast his own view with the other views prevailing at the time. Remember, they've been using their system, so now they're getting together and, having a discussion on who's been using it and how they should be using it. The various theories at present entertained regarding the phenomena of mesmerism may be arranged thus. First, those who believe them to be owing entirely to a system of conclusion and delusion, and a great majority of society may be ranked under this head. Second, those who believe them to be real phenomena, but produce solely on imagination, sympathy, and imitation. So it says, third, the animal magnetism, or those who believe in some magnetic medium sets in motion as the exciting cause of magnetism phenomena. Fourth, those who have adopted my view that the phenomena are solely attributed to particular psychological states of the brain and the spinal cord. So now we see how it is moved into the medical practice. Now it's pineal gland. You see, it's the spinal cord. No, it's not that. It's this. It's you know what I'm saying? Maybe that's a little too much for you to grasp. How they keep shifting and how the people keep shifting with it. These are charlatans, people. These are charlatans. These are fucking con men. Right? Welcome to Tricknology 101. So now we'll be getting into the actual trick knowledge. Right? So we got all of this right here. I'm wondering what time did I come on. I might be let me see. Hold on a minute here. Okay. Okay, I got the hour completed. I just wanted to see at least if I had an hour in. I'll be back tomorrow to continue this. That was a stupid transformation there, but all right, all right. Let's see here.